Welcome back to the Cozy Cottage Homestead. Today I'm going to be sharing some of my frugal tips and tips. I had a special request from a sister, a real life sister, not just some of my sisters online. So they didn't really know where to start with stocking up and being prepared. You know, a lot of people are starting to realize that maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should start prepping, start being prepared, and asked if I would share how I do it in a small space and what were some of the things that I like to stock up on. And I'm going to give some of that information, but not show you what I have because I just feel like that's not safe. But I will most definitely share some of my tips and ideas and some of the things that I like to do and how we make it work. So I'm going to share some things that I think is important. You may or may not agree, and that's fine. We all do things differently, and you have to prepare what you like and what your family likes, and get things that your family enjoys. Because if you don't like something and you've never tried it, you know, maybe you got nervous and you went and bought a whole bunch of freeze-dried meals and thought, okay, I'm prepared. This stuff's supposed to last 5 years, 10 years, and then you crack open a can and it's not any good, or it's bad, or you got a bad batch, or who knows. Maybe you don't even enjoy it, and it's too late then. Because I would say it's too late then, because if you're getting into those type of foods, it's really getting bad, and food is pretty scarce. So I'm going to give some ideas on some of the things that we do here on the homestead. And I'm not new to this. I have always lived my life like this. I think it's because of being raised poor, running out of things, not having things. I just learned once I was an adult to always be prepared as much as possible and to try not live beyond my means. Of course, we enjoy life and we're just human like everyone else. But I've always had the mindset of being prepared, being frugal, and in order to get the things that I needed, being frugal was how I was able to do those things. So I always try to think ahead. I'm one of those shoppers. I'll put all kind of stuff in my buggy, and it's for me personally, and I'm like throwing it out the buggy right before I check out. Like, I don't really need this. I have enough of this or that or whatever. And I have the things that I need. And going shopping, it's designed by design to tempt you to buy things that you don't need. And I have to keep redirecting my thoughts to think that, you know, I don't really need another shirt. I have 10 shirts, or I have this, or I have that. Do I really need this? Is it helpful? Is it useful? And that's how I think about things. We do live in a very small house. I am fortunate that I have an overflow for different things, mostly for my bedroom stuff, because one of the sacrifices that we made in moving into a smaller home, while we downsized, but yet we're still going to add on, showed videos on that, was we had to decide what was most important. And for us, having a couch to lounge around in was not important. It was more important to have a table so that we could have conversation and have company, to drink tea, eat a meal together in a small space. So we made sacrifices. And the other thing that helps me in a small space is my laundry room is next door. So I don't have a separate laundry room per se yet, but so that gives me a little bit more room. But we prioritized on the things that we have, and don't have a lot of the worldly things. Yes, we have a television. Yes, we have a radio. Mostly the television that we have, I watch the YouTube on it, which I love to watch y'all on my big screen, so to speak. It's not a huge screen, but it's a big TV. I love to watch y'all on that, but the only thing I don't like is I still have to grab my phone to comment. So sometimes I like a lot of videos and I don't leave comments until the next day, but I probably actually watched it twice because I go back and leave a comment. So anyway, Sorry about that. Got a little off track there. But just wanted to, I was asked, how do you do it, and how do they visited. We had a visit with a sister, and he's like, I bet your grocery bill is really, really cheap, and your light bill's probably really cheap. How do you do it? How do you figure all this out? So I mean, to me, it's just the balancing act. And I'll give more information. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a series on this and then go into how I do that and share what works for me. It may not work for you, but maybe it'll help someone, especially a beginner, and my sister that wanted to know a little more information on some of this stuff and where to start. So the stock up plan, number one, of course, food and water. So this one's going to be basically talking about food and water and dry goods. Any types of canned meats that you like. If you can't can it yourself, which we do both, we can it ourselves and we stock up on commercial store-bought canned meats for a backup for the backup. And that could be absolutely anything that is canned chicken, canned beef, even like beef stews, anything that has protein in it to give you extra protein. But do watch if you have diabetes or high blood pressure, along those lines, that some of the canned foods that you buy are high in salt, which you may need more salt in dire times. So just keep that in mind. And how do I figure how much I need? So I figure on how many times a week do we eat certain types of foods. So if we cook at least 5 days a week, and this is for 3 people, we would go through usually 2, if we did 2 cans of canned meat or cans of meat bought from the store. Usually it would take 2 cans depending on what type of meal we were preparing. So you have 52 weeks in a year, and if you figure that times 2 cans for only 3 times a week, now this is not 7 days a week, you would need about 312 cans, and this is for 2 to 3 people. So you could see right out the gate that it's really, really a lot of storage space depending on how much meat you have. And in our case, we don't store, and I'm not going to give it away, we don't store a whole lot, like say for years and years and years to come, because we have a source of meat here on the homestead. Our goal is to put up meat or put up stuff for about a year, and then keep replenishing it by butchering more. We have pork, the ducks, chickens, different things like that. Plus with hunting, with deer season, hunting season, whatever, rabbit. So our plan is to keep refurnishing those types of meats if we need it. So even if you just figure 3 weeks, 52 week, 3 times a week, 52 weeks in a year, that's 312 cans if you only ate some type of meat dish 3 times a week. Peanut butter is protein. It's good. It doesn't matter what kind, what brand. It's still reasonably cheap. My suggestion would be don't buy the big giant gallon size jars, because if you do stock up on it and you have one jar that goes bad, then you're out of a lot of stuff. Don't get the teensy weensy one, but get a nice family size one. And depending on, again, your family, I would have 10 to 15 jars of that on hand. Probably for 2 to 4 people, just depends. So like on those days you might not have canned meat, you may have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something like that for the protein. It's still reasonable, still cheap, still really healthy. Rice, and this is just staples that we stock up on. It doesn't mean it's everything. So rice, again, I always have rice on hand. My guess is for about 2 to 4 people, probably close to 100 pounds of rice. That seems like an awful lot, but it's really, really, really not. Rice is still nutritious, it's still good, and yes, it is also known as a filler, and you can do a lot of things with rice. And it stores well, and if you store it correctly, you'll have it. All types of vinegar for preserving foods, health care, for cleaning, numerous different things you can do with vinegar. My suggestion for 2 to 4 people is 5 to 8 gallons. And you want to rotate everything, so don't just think you're going to get 10 gallons and it's going to last for 10 years, because you have to use it and rotate it as you use it. You know, I don't stock up for 10 years. It's replenished. If I can replenish it, it's replenished. Powdered milk is a big one that I think people overlook. Of course, we have milk goats, so we could milk goat, but if we didn't have electricity, it would be hard to run the well a lot to wash out all the milking equipment, keeping the milk refrigerated or canning it. We didn't necessarily, one of those things, we don't think we're going to can the milk anymore. We liked it, but it would have to be dire situations. But you could also, you know, just milk some and you'd have fresh milk, but we like it cold, so you have to think about that. Yes, you could keep some on your counter for a day, or just dump it out every day and keep milking it and dumping it and use it for cooking or whatever. But powdered milk is a must here on our homestead. Now, the powdered milk, you can buy it in bulk too. I prefer to buy it in the smaller boxes with the little envelopes and make it as I need it. And I would say 10 to 15 pounds. Now, this is just what we use for cooking with, but if we had to drink it, that's about how much we probably would need, because we're not very big milk drinkers. Now, when we have the goat milk coming in, we do like to make a lot of cheese, like the Velveeta cheese and lots of other farmer cheese. So, but again, that's if we have refrigeration. If we don't have refrigeration, then that's probably not something we're going to make. And here in the South, we don't have root cellars, so that's just not even a possibility for keeping cheese in a root cellar or something like that. Now, we probably could make it in the winter time, but we do have a small window for winter time. Dry beans, peas. Beans, same as the rice, last a very, very, very long time. Same with the peas. They're very nutritious, very healthy. I would say 75 to 100 pounds for 3 to 4 people. These are just my guesses and stuff that I think about. Do I have 100 pounds of any of these? Well, I can't really tell you that, but I can tell you we have a good amount. So you do what's best for you and your family, and stock up on what you like. Don't get black beans if nobody likes them. You know, so that's the biggest thing I want you to get from this today, is stock up on what your family likes and what they enjoy. Honey. Honey is a good one. It's medicinal. It's a sweetener. It's healthy. It's antibacterial, antibiotic, and the list goes on. I've done videos on a honey study. So I would say 8 to 10 pounds. Depends on how much you use honey and what you have available. So, I mean, a backup for a backup. Sure, you may have sugar, but honey's good. It lasts forever. Sugar lasts a long time, too, if it's put up correctly. Salt is a good one. Salt can be used for lots of different things besides just table salt. We like the pink salt or the sea salt, and we do have iodine salt because I do have a thyroid problem. But we do use a lot of plain salt, and plain salt is what you will need for canning. And so that one's depends on how much salt you use. Even if you don't use a lot of salt, salt can be used for lots of different things, for cleaning, for sanitizing, more than just for table salt. And I would say 10 to 20 pounds, especially if you're thinking about you're going to have to start canning food. We don't put a lot of salt in our canned food, but we still have it on hand. And also for bartering. All of these items, if you have plenty of it, maybe you could barter with someone else to get something maybe you're low on. So it's good to have a little bit what you think you need and plus a little extra. Flour, I'm going to go with the plain Jane all-purpose flour. If you can afford your own wheat berries, that is wonderful. We cannot afford it, nor do we have space to store something like that. And for us, it's just easier to get the plain all-purpose flour, and I would say about 45 to 55, 60 pounds for 2 to 4 people. We do keep a lot of that. You can do a lot with flour. Yes, it's going to put a little weight on you, but we all might need a little weight put back on us. It's carbs, you know, so you do have to watch that. But if you're making fresh bread every day, you don't realize how much flour you go through. And during the winter time and the fall, we make most all of our bread. It's still hot right now, but if I had to, it wouldn't be a problem. We would go ahead and start making it. And actually, I've already been starting my sourdough starter again, getting the fever for that fresh home-baked bread. So definitely 45 to 60 pounds or so for 2 to 4 people. Pasta. Pasta's another one. Why would you want pasta? Pasta's just not good for you. I mean, we hear that a lot. You know, you're going to need carbs. Yeah, you're going to be doing things that you're not used to doing. One, you're just going to probably be sweating so much here in the South because it's hot and there's no electricity. And even if you have a way to have a solar fan or whatever, it's still going to be hotter than what you're used to. So your body is going to need carbs. You're not just going to be laying around the bed sweating because it's hot and there's no power. It would actually be better if you got up and went outside and done something, garden, go jump in a pond, jump in a lake, find something to do. So you're going to need energy, you're going to need those carbs. So pasta's a good one. I would say 40 to 50 pounds. And see, all of this sounds like a whole lot, but when you think about it, it's really not, because if you're planning for about a year's worth, you'll be surprised. Most people don't even realize how much we do consume. And this is just the basics. And you may have extra with this. It just depends, again, on how much your family goes through. You may not be as hungry. Other days you may be hungry. You might have company. You might want to cook extra. It just depends. The pasta's a good one, and it lasts a long time if stored correctly. And baking supplies like baking soda, baking powder, starch, yeast, all your dry stuff for baking. Even if you're not a baker, go ahead and stock up on those. I don't have an amount on those because it depends on how much bacon and how much you do, but I would definitely have some of those things on hand just in case. Number 12, canning oil, cooking oil, corn oil, olive oil, coconut oil, whatever kind of oil you use. We do use lard, but we have saved from our butchering our own pork. 100% natural. Be careful with the shortenings and stuff on the market because they are only one molecule away from being considered motor oil, which is poisonous to the human body. So do your own research on that one. Don't take my word for it. Check into all the oils. Make sure you do get a good one, but do know oil does not last forever unless you have it canned. Our lard will last a few years canned. So just stock up, but don't get too much because it can go bad. But have a variety. And spices and seasonings, bouillon cubes. This is, you don't maybe not think about spices and seasonings, but it really can dress up a meal, can really, add some life to some bland beans and rice, or just a rice and chicken mix, or whatever it is that you can come up with, for a quick meal for your family. The other one is stock up on whatever your favorite food is, or your vice. Some people gotta have caffeine. Some people have to have chocolate. Some people have to have beer. Some people have to have cold drinks, tobacco, hard candies. You have to have those things that keep you sane on hand, in stock, because you want to not go crazy with all this. Some people are going to go berserk because they can't get their favorite coffee drink, or they can't get their alcohol, or they can't get whatever it is that's your thing. We all have something. I will not go without chocolate. My husband will not go without coffee. So those are some things that we do stock up on. And hard candies, we like to keep those, and we do have the sugar-free type. Sometimes you just want something sweet, and if you can't get it, it's going to probably make you want to lose your mind, especially those that are addicted to nicotine, alcohol. Not that I'm saying that's a good thing or to be addicted to, but have it on hand. And since we do make tinctures and stuff, we do have alcohol on hand to make tinctures, but it also has a good would be a good item to barter with if you had to. So make sure you have those types of things on hand. So, and I already covered that. Hard liquor, wine for tinctures or for bartering, and also medicinal purposes. So that's a good one to have on hand. How much you need, I can't tell you. That depends on how much, whatever your family thinks. Dry teas, various types of herbal teas. We dehydrate fresh herbs and leaves throughout the year to have those on hand for herbal teas throughout the winter, flu season, stuff like that. And that's something maybe that'll grow on you once you learn some of the medicinal values of the dry leaves and herbs and out in nature all around us. Because maybe we can't get to the store. Maybe we've already run out of our store-bought tea. So we do stock up on store-bought tea. But we also have a whole shelf full of herbal teas that we've dehydrated here from the homestead. So that's always a good thing to have stocked up. And of course, I'll go into a little bit more. This video is probably getting a little bit long. I don't want to be boring y'all. But I think I'm going to break it down in categories. So the other one was stock up on prescription meds. All basic medicine for headaches, itch cream, Neosporin, stuff like that. First aid stuff. Make sure you do an inventory of all the things that you have and don't have. Now would be a good time to do that. Check your dates on everything and make sure that everything's topped off and that it's full. I'll go into another category next week on some other things, and this is just simply to help beginners and maybe people that's already seasoned. Maybe there's some things that they hadn't thought of. I recently shared some of my Frugal and Thrifty Thursday videos in the community post. They were older videos, but lots of good information, some things that maybe others haven't thought of, or they're new to this channel and just missed it. Lots of good frugal tips on things that you can do, on how to make do with things. So now I want to close with some Bible verses. I've had a few people tell me, well, why should we be prepared? God's going to come back and we're not going to need all those things. Well, like I posted on my Facebook post, the good is going to suffer with the bad or the evil. God does not say that we're not going to have to suffer. He says He is going to take care of us, and He does not say that it's going to be easy. So common sense tells me to use my brain and be prepared and, have something that alleviates some stress. By being prepared, it will free up your mental health to do things that you need to do, and then if you have some stuff prepared, then you won't have to stress quite as bad. So this is just to encourage you, to inspire you, to help you, not to scare anyone, because I'm not one of those fear-mongering. I share what I practice. I most definitely practice what I preach. These are things that I do honestly do, and that I do have on hand, and I do have stocked, because it's the least thing that I want to have to worry about is what are we going to eat whenever we know people are starving all around us. You hear the birthing pains of the earth, and we already hearing all this stuff, and it's already happening. Some people don't still realize that it's happening, but things are happening, and I'm not saying it's going to be the end of the world, because I don't know. I'm not God. He's the only one that knows. The same with all these other channels that are predicting it and prophesying it and thinking it. Only God knows. All we can do is be prepared, be prayed up, keep trusting in the Lord, and not lose faith. I see lots of people, and I gave this example to my sister. It's like the Titanic. Well, it's going down, and we're all going to die, so let's live it up, party it up, sex it up, do all of this crazy stuff because we're going to die anyway. Well, as Christians, we try not to think that way. We're going to pray it up, read our Bible, do what we're supposed to do, and not be caught in those places and in those situations, because we're waiting on the Lord's return. We don't want to be caught with our pants down, so to speak. We want to be doing what is pleasing to the Lord. So, sorry, that's just how I feel about it. That's the last thing I want to do, is be caught somewhere that I know I shouldn't be as a Christian. Do I still enjoy my life and enjoy what I have? Most definitely. But if it's something that I think is ungodly, it's worldly, you're not going to see me there. You're going to see me just like you see me right here, right now. I'm not going to be caught in those situations, because I'm not going to be in those situations because I'm a Christian. And so just be aware of those things. Lots of people are getting tricked. The devil is going to be here to deceive and trick. So just keep looking forward, keep looking towards the Lord, keep thinking about good things, and don't let your guard down. When things get tough, people tend to let their guard down and give in. Not that this is a good example, but you got to know when to hold them, and know when to fold them, and know when to let go. So prepare and do the best that you can. And I'm going to leave you with a couple of Bible verses if you want to study a little further into how I think Christians should be preparing and getting ready for stressful times, hard times, and such. So Proverbs 21:5, Proverbs 31:15. Basically, those verses are talking about planning and being prepared, and how if you're planning for things, you have a more level-minded head if you have a game plan, instead of just something happens and everybody freaks out and there's chaos, because that's what's going to happen. But if you're prepared and you're planning on things, it'll be a lot easier. Psalms 55:22, Joshua 1:9, James 1:12. So my little ending here is, don't give in to the world. Stand firm in your faith. Keep plowing forward. Stay ready. Stay positive. Plan ahead for the coming days, weeks, months, and even possibly years. So thanks for joining me today. I will be back with the part 2 probably next Friday. So farewell, Homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead.